The Privy Council Office advises the Prime Minister on policy, legislation, and appointments, coordinates cabinet meetings and oversees government operations, and manages national emergencies and coordinates the government's response. In short, it's the Prime Minister's Strategy and War Council. Why does this matter? According to government internal emails, Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland pressured Privy Council Office members to prepare materials in support of her role on the Board of Trustees at the World Economic Forum. Many of you know that Freeland sits on the WEF Board of Trustees, but what you likely don't know is that Schwab may be grooming her to take over from him. At least once in the past, Freeland was asked to chair the weekly WEF conference call normally led by Schwab. This past January, Freeland participated in a panel discussion entitled Restoring Security and Peace at the World Economic Forum in Davos. An inquiry of ministry tabled on March 29th also showed Freeland attended an undisclosed session on financing Ukraine during her visit to Davos, which was not listed in her public itinerary or the program for the WEF conference. In that same meeting were WEF Young Global Leader and Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte, former US Secretary of State and climate alarmist John Kerry, former British Prime Ministers Boris Johnson and Tony Blair, as well as Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. A week after that meeting, Canadian Minister of National Defence Anita Anand wrote an op-ed in the National Post promising unlimited funds for Ukraine to win the war. Canada has to date spent over $5 billion in aid for Ukraine. In completely unrelated news, Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland's recent disclosure declarations show board memberships and gifts from 2 Ukrainian-related foundations. Currently, CSIS is looking for foreign agents in our government. I found one. In 2019, the federal government launched a high-speed access for all program with the goal of universal internet coverage by 2030 and setting minimum standards of service. Auditor General Karen Hogan recently reported that only 60% of people outside metropolitan cities have consistent, budget-friendly access to the internet. Minimum service was set at download speeds of 50 megabits per second. The program was budgeted at $8 billion over 10 years. Are they doing this out of the goodness of their hearts to ensure that all Canadians will have reliable, high-speed access to truthful information? Of course not. Last week, Trudeau's government shut down debate on Bill C-11. If passed, Bill C-11 would require digital streaming platforms to financially contribute towards Canadian content creation and promotion, but would also give the CRTC control over content. Heritage Minister Pablo Rodriguez rejected amendments to the bill on behalf of the Liberal government, claiming they created loopholes. These loopholes are the amendments introduced by Senate that pulled the teeth of the bill, primarily amendments that will protect user-generated content. This means that the bill has been passed back to the House for debate by MPs. Liberal MPs have said they will not accept the amendments. Now, remember Bill C-18, which is designed to force social media platforms to heavily favor state-approved media? The government wants all Canadians to have access to high-speed internet so that all Canadians can be easily indoctrinated with state-controlled information, while those who oppose the narrative, such as, well, me, will be censored. During the third reading of Bill C-11, Liberal Senator David Richards likened the censorship legislation to totalitarian regimes in Nazi Germany. Note, that was Liberal Senator. Said Richards, in Germany, it was called the Ministry of National Enlightenment, which controlled film, radio, theater, and the press during Hitler's reign. And apparently at least one Bloc Québécois MP has no issue with that. Shefford MP Andriana LaRouche said in the House of Commons on Monday that it was worth violating the free speech rights of Canadians with Bill C-11 if it means that content made in Quebec gets promoted online. Said LaRouche, if violating freedom of expression means ensuring that Quebec content is well represented online, then that's worth it. Fortunately, Jordan Peterson has significantly more reach than MP LaRouche. Dr. Peterson was awarded the George Jonas Freedom Award by the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms in recognition of his commitment to defending freedom of expression and refusal to submit to mandatory social media communications retraining by the College of Psychologists of Ontario. Peterson is being recognized for standing up against threats to free speech, advocating personal responsibility as a pillar of free society, and standing firm when pressured to use newly invented personal pronouns. Previous recipients include Mark Stein, Christy Blatchford, Tamara Leach, and the Society for Academic Freedom and Scholarship. The award celebrates Jordan's courage, which gives hope to the many others who face similar sanctions, threats, and bullying from a bloated and woke bureaucracy. In the past 2 weeks alone, 12 people have been assaulted and 4 people are dead following random acts of violence across Canada. 2 weeks ago, 6 people were injured and 1 woman is dead after a stabbing incident at Vancouver's Lynn Valley Village Library on Saturday afternoon. North Vancouver RCMP confirmed the stabbing occurred both inside and outside of Lynn Valley Library. On the same weekend, a fatal stabbing occurred on Sunday evening outside of Vancouver Starbucks. Video shows one man wearing red pants and a gray hoodie stabbing 37-year-old Paul Stanley Schmidt, resulting in his death. Schmidt's wife and daughter were present at the Starbucks when the incident happened. An officer patrolling the area arrested 32-year-old Interdeep Singh Gosal at the scene. Again, on that same weekend, 2 weeks ago, 16-year-old Gabriel Magalhaes was sitting on a bench at Toronto's Keele subway station when he was stabbed to death on Saturday evening. Jordan O'Brien Tobin, 22, of no fixed address, has been charged with first-degree murder. An attack on a transit bus last weekend in Surrey, BC, is being treated as terrorism after RCMP National Security took over the investigation. Abdul Aziz Kawam was charged with attempted murder and 4 counts of terrorism for allegedly slashing a bus passenger's throat and assaulting a second victim at a bus stop with a knife. And on Monday in downtown Calgary, at least 3 people were believed to have been stabbed by the same suspect. The victims sustained injuries ranging from minor to serious, but are in stable condition. Just a week before, a teenage girl was shot and killed while sitting in the passenger seat of a car in Calgary's northeast neighborhood of Martindale. So far, there have been no arrests. And just this past Tuesday, a woman was stabbed at an Edmonton LRT station. Samantha McCallum, 28, was arrested and charged with 1 count of aggravated assault. In many cities across Canada, police have been defunded under Liberal civic governments. One of the worst of these leftist nut jobs is Jody Gondek, mayor of Calgary. Here's what happened when Cian Bexty of the Countersignal asked her about her policies.
Did it take, the random stabbings, wives getting stabbed, police officers getting killed to realize that it was important to fund police departments? And how can Calgarians trust you when you flip-flop on basic issues like public safety?
If you or your kids are being forced to take transit, go to Amazon.ca and search for dog spray. While pepper spray is illegal in Canada, dog spray is not, and it does the same thing. Criminals will have a hard time stabbing you when they're writhing on the ground, clawing at their eyeballs. That's all for this week's free version of the Iron Will Report. If you want to help us spread the truth, please like and share this video. Social media algorithms promote content based upon how many likes and shares they get. So please take just a few moments to do that and help us share the truth with others. In this week's members version at ironwillreport.com, Canada's new budget under Freeland is sending us to new record levels of debt to finance the green agenda. A second report contradicting cabinet claims that taxpayers receive more in climate action incentive payments than they pay in tax, showing that in fact the just transition is going to cost every Canadian taxpayer thousands more. Disgusting footage from the Netherlands and from our own Canadian broadcorping castration on further efforts to brainwash young kids with transgenderism. Some preliminary numbers on the alarming increase in suicides across Canada since 2020. Microsoft fires its ethics team while pushing AI search engines, and the results of my own test of ChatGPT as a censorship tool. Code zeros, that is, no ambulances available, are reaching disastrous levels across Canada. Britain's new royal tyrant could spell the end of the Governor General's office. Farmer Gates invests in a company that makes face masks for cows. And Budweiser joins the list of companies that are going woke and going broke. Interviews coming out next week. Computer scientist Mark Davidson on AI and just how afraid of it we should be. And Canadian youth are fighting back. An interview with 3 of the members of the activist group Over to the Youth, including Rain Trozy, the son of Mark Trozy, and who is the founder of the group. Madison Holmes, a 20-year-old Calgarian, and my own daughter, Evelyn Dove, who recently joined the group. Memberships at ironwillreport.com are just $9.95 per month with a 15-day free trial. Get the truth that mainstream media won't report and our government doesn't want you to hear. I do not accept corporate or government money in any form. Our efforts at ironwillreport.com to bring you the truth are entirely funded by memberships from people like you. This is your guarantee that we're working for you. Help us to spread the truth by supporting independent media. Sign up today for a 15-day free trial. Unsubscribe anytime in the first 15 days and you will not be charged. You are also not locked in and can cancel your subscription at any time.